the best meal plan is the one you can adhere to long term. Yes, the number one key to fat loss success is adherence. You could try to include all the best tips in the world to increase body fat loss, but if you can't adhere to it, nothing will happen. So instead of copying restrictive meal plans, focus on creating personalized meals of your own with foods you enjoy, but in a more calorie and protein friendly way. And that is why I start by improving already existing meals using familiar foods my clients already love and enjoy before adding new ones. This way I can make their meals suitable for fat loss without having to drastically change too much and risking them quitting altogether.
Let's see. My meal plan. First meal is a Asian Peruvian fusion bowl. Nutritional yeast, chuka wakame, seitan, edamame, quinoa, maca. What the heck am I making?
Introducing new foods and new recipes can come in a later stage. No need to make eating for fat loss even more complex than it already is. But before we dissect the secrets on how to effectively create fat loss meal plans, hi, my name is Angela. I'm a multi-business entrepreneur within the health and fitness industry with years of experience as a sports dietitian. And in this video, I'm going to share how I design effective meal plans as a sports dietitian that promote fat loss without compromising your overall health. So if you're ready to shed some body fat and transform your body, and grab a pen and paper so you can follow along. Step 1 is to begin by writing down your current 2 to 3 most frequently chosen meals and snacks. But if you currently lack structure and eat all sorts of things without repeating any, consider writing down what you would like to eat if you would have a clear breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in between. And focus on incorporating basic healthy foods you already know and enjoy. Now that you've written down what you currently eat, you want to rebuild these meals while sticking to a calorie budget. This means you need to determine how many calories to consume on a daily basis to start losing body fat. The way it works is when the body doesn't get enough food through nutrition, your body will now need to burn its own tissue to create energy to sustain itself. And this will result in weight loss. Isn't the body so cool? So for this to happen, you need to create a calorie deficit, or in other words, a energy deficit. And you do this by consuming less calories than what your body burns. And that is why step 2 would be to calculate the daily energy or calorie budget. One way to do this is by using an equation. Now let me show you how to do this by using an example. And for this example, I'm using the data of a real client, which is a female who weighs 71 kilos and is 168 centimeters and 32 years old. If we put this information into the equation, it will give you 1486.034. Let's use 4086 to not overcomplicate further calculations. Now the number that you get out of this equation is the basic amount of calories or energy you'll need to stay alive if you would do nothing else apart from breathing. So obviously we'll need to add a surcharge based on the current activity level. And here's an overview you can use. And in this case, I'll use 40% as a surcharge for her activities since she's fairly active every single day. So she walks 10K on average and exercises 3 to 4 times a week. So 1486 times 1.4 is 2080 calories. And this is the energy recommendation to maintain. Are you still following how to do this? If you need to, rewind and pause. Now that you have an estimation on how many energy you would need to sustain the body, we now need to decide how many calories to subtract to create a calorie or energy deficit, and thus start losing weight. For this, try to aim for a 10 to 20% decrease. The higher the decrease in energy, the faster the weight loss, but also the harder it is to sustain. And if you're noticing that you're losing more than a kilo a week, then please be aware because you might be losing more muscle mass than you would want. You want to aim to lose as much fat mass as possible, and that is why I would recommend you to stick to the lower range of the 10 to 20% decrease, especially if you are a beginner. In this case, I'm choosing to stick to a drop of 10 to 15%, leaving us with a range of 1768 and 1872 calories daily, which would mean a 1800 calories daily on average. Another crucial method to try to aim for as much fat mass loss as possible is step 3, which is calculating how many protein you'll need, since protein is the key factor in stimulating fat loss rather than muscle loss. If you want to keep everything lifted and maintain a higher metabolism to support weight loss, you shouldn't underestimate the power of protein. A protein recommendation depends on many factors like your age, the amount of calories you consume, your activity level, your goal, the quality of protein you eat, if you have injuries or not. But to not overcomplicate things, I would suggest to start at 2 grams of protein per kg body weight daily. For this person specifically, I'm choosing 2 grams of protein per kg body weight, which is 142 grams of protein daily. So now we have a total calorie budget of 1800 calories and a total protein budget of 142 grams of protein per day. And if you're a beginner, I would suggest to focus on creating meal plans focusing mostly on calories and protein, since these two are the most important factors to consider in terms of nutrition for fat loss specifically. Further optimization can come in a later stage. This way you can keep learning about nutrition step by step while keeping it manageable so it doesn't become too overcomplicating. Now, step 4 would be to divide your total calories and your total protein budget over the amount of meals that you would like to eat in a day. In this case, this person told me she wanted to stick to 4 eating moments. This would mean 4 meals of around 450 calories with 35 grams of protein. So if you do the same, now you have the basic structure of your meal plan. But before we move on, I have a quick tip for you. You can also choose to shift more calories to the time of the day where you feel you might need it most. This could be a strategy to make it easier to stick to your meal plan while still listening to your hunger cues. And here's another important tip. If you want to lose body fat as efficiently and as quickly as possible, it would be beneficial to look beyond calories and improve the quality of your diet by replacing ultra-processed foods with mostly unprocessed foods. Minimally unprocessed foods are foods in its mostly whole form. Examples are brown pasta versus white pasta, chicken versus chicken nuggets, and these foods will provide more nutrients and fiber, making your food healthier, helping digestion, and helping to suppress appetite. Additionally, unprocessed foods have a higher thermic effect, which means your body burns more calories digesting, absorbing, and metabolizing them than processed foods. This could result in burning around 100 calories, if not more, a day, making your net energy balance 100 calories less than a person who would consume the same amount of energy but coming from mostly processed foods. In other words, if you eat the same amount of calories but you choose to create meals with mostly unprocessed foods, this could lead to burning more calories daily and potentially speeding up your fat loss process. And then there's another important tip, which is especially valuable if you are a big eater like myself. To maximize your calorie budget, so to get most bang for your buck, focus on low calorie density food. These are foods which provide the most volume with the least amount of calories. For example, 500 calories in nuts will have less volume than 500 calories of pasta. Similarly, 150 calories in cookies will have less volume than 150 calories in pumpkin. By choosing foods with higher volume but relatively low amount of calories, you can feel fuller faster and better stick to your diet. And here's a list that can help you with that. Now let's continue to build this meal plan and make it more suitable for weight loss using the following factors: your total calorie budget and the amount that you would get if you would divide it over a certain amount of meals that you would like to eat in a day. In this case, I'm using 1800 calories, which are 4 meals of 450 calories. Then we would need your daily protein budget and the amount per meal if you would divide that protein budget over the amount of meals that you would like to eat. In this case, I'm using 140 grams of protein, which are 4 meals of 35 grams of protein. And if you can, stick to mostly unprocessed foods and try to stick to higher volume, low calorie foods, since they will make it easier to stick to your diet. Which takes us to step number 5, 5, which is to actually start rebuilding these meals with the recommended amount of calories and protein, and for that I use a food tracker. A food tracker is going to show me how many calories, protein, carbohydrates, and fats every meal contains, and what is lacking, so I can puzzle until I get it right. So just to be clear, in this case you're using a food tracker as a tool to build your meals with, and not to track your calories or protein or whatever on a daily basis. You are building a personalized meal plan with staple meals of your own, which you can print or keep digital and just follow. You can use any free food tracker, for example MyFitnessPal. I think there's also LifeSum and MyPlate. And before we dive further into rebuilding an example meal plan, if you want to learn more actionable tips on how to eat, how to exercise to support a healthier lifestyle in general, then make sure you sign up to my free weekly bite-sized newsletter called the Bodycon Bites. You'll find a link in my description box and my comment section. Now back to the meal plan. Now before I reduce any portion so it can fit the calorie budget, first, I'll make sure every meal is more well balanced by adding the necessary components. I use the food tracker to add the ingredients of every meal, and it will show me how my choices influence my calories, but also my protein, carbohydrates, and fats. I'll keep adjusting the portions up until I reach the desired calorie and protein range. Now, as a beginner, one of the problems you might run into is looking at your meals and not knowing if something is missing. So click on the screen and I'm going to walk you through how to create well-balanced meals using an easy 4-step method. Thank you for watching.